It's the 50,000 people that on a 24-hour notice showed up in the Kotel to daven. It's the 100,000 people, probably, if you include the people stuck in traffic, that came to the funeral. It's probably 80,000 people in the rally in Tel Aviv, when we were all on a high of togetherness and feeling that if there's so much love and brotherhood in the air, miracles can happen. That was less than 24 hours before we found the voice. And most of you were in this experience with us day after day, hour after hour, news, one Mivzak Chadashot after the other, whatever it's called in Israel, in America, or wherever you come from. And when I think, what excuse do I have to be here speaking to you, it's mostly to use the opportunity to say thank you. We feel the deepest gratitude for this shutafut, for this sharing and being part of our experience and being such true family to us along all of this. It started on a Thursday night, and it ended 18 days later, or then came the Shiva, and then came the war in Israel that wasn't unrelated, and it was a long summer, and there were many aspects to it. Some were extremely painful, and some were, I fear to use the word, but in a sense they were glorious. There was something special in the air as far as what people brought out of themselves, as the way the family of Am Yisrael got together. And for us, just as a very private family that was under tremendous anxiety and stress and you name it, it meant the world. And it literally meant the world, because I spoke to Jews in Kathmandu and Cape Town and Australia and North America and South America, and they were all calling or coming delegations that showed up from Argentina and Rome, and we felt we're not alone in this. And really, it's just an opportunity to say thank you. The price you pay for letting your mind go to the dark places is so immediate. It like drains every bit of energy, and so you learn to control it. There was a time when I really felt we're in control, and for a second there I was saying, Racheli, do you not love your son enough to fall apart? And I was going on the plane to Geneva, and a person approached me, and he was wearing a uniform. And he said something about something that everybody wishes. And I was, in a second there, I was in Hebrew you say beseret, in a movie, where I was convinced that he was there to pull me out of the line and to tell me it's all over, and they found Naftali and he's home. And then I listened on, and it turned out he recognized me, and he came over to wish the best like everybody wishes. And then I went on the plane, and when I got off the plane, I turned off my cell phone. By the way, this is my takeaway, right? And suddenly I got these messages, a few messages from my husband asking what the band of Naftali's wristwatch looks like. Now, we had plenty of questions like that from the Shabak, the intelligence. What sandals, what sunglasses, what glasses, whatever. And I called him back, and he didn't answer the phone. And it took me 10 minutes to reach them. And in those 10 minutes, I was in a horror movie. I said, they found them, they can't be recognized, they were mutilated, they can't be recognized. So then I said, if you can be in this beautiful movie 1 second, and in this horror movie another second, you're normal. Most of the time, I was just focused. Now, then came the bad news and the shiver and Shiva, and now it's a different world. It's a world of dealing with loss. And in that context, I'm a toddler. I'm a baby, 6 months old. I don't know what tomorrow is holding for us. Both Avi and I feel לא מתאים לנו ללבוש מסכה. We don't want to live with a mask on our face. So we try to make room in our life for the, for the weeping and for the happiness. And during one of the first Shabbatot, my daughter, it was very difficult, and my daughter ran to the couch. She was 10 years old, and she looked at me, and I saw she was asking for permission to cry. It was like with her eyes, she was asking, am I allowed to cry? So I came over to her and I said, Noga, it's okay to cry. And you know what? It's okay to be happy too. I feel we really have so much bracha in our life. So we also have a lot of pain, but we have so much other bracha in our life that it would be such how do you say that? Ingratitude to let our tragedy paint everything in black. It's like I have a 6-year-old daughter, Nama. She saw me packing something into my pocketbook, and she turns to me and she says, Ima, is it still true that you put on your makeup when you get to work so you can cry on the way? I told her, Nama, it's not that every day the whole way I cry, but I reserve the right to cry. Probably the most difficult thing I ever did was when we got the news, was taking my children one by one, each one according to the age group and how close they were to Naftali, and breaking the news to them. It felt like, taking a beautiful flower and knowing you're gonna crush it in a minute. And at that time we told the children, you're gonna be seeing Abba and Ima cry. You understand why, but don't worry, we're not falling apart. We'll be here for you. And we promise you that we'll return to be a happy family. And we stopped on the way back, we stopped on the Kotel, and the group of young children ran to me and said, we're davening, we're saying Tehillim, everything will be okay. And there I felt what was developing over the last couple of days was that beside the anxiety I had for my son, I was also getting anxious about what would happen to all these people, and more so children, if things go wrong. And so, it wasn't a very intelligent way of saying it, but one of the things I said was, Kadosh Baruch Hu lo oved etzlenu. Hashem is not our employee. It turned out somebody had a camera there, and the next day it was all over the web. And it was a true chesed because it was a discussion we had to make. And we've had this discussion before in Israel. There was Nachshon Waxman, everybody was praying frantically. There was the Hitnatkut, and Abba Shel Nachshon said, well, you ask things from your father, but sometimes your father says no. But the difference was that this discussion happened after the deed. After we knew the answer was no, we had this discussion about prayer and how we view prayer. And in this case, it was while it was going on. So the discussion was very meaningful to talk about how we relate to davening. Did we ever see it as a cash machine? You put Tehillim one side, you get results on the other side. And saying it, everything you know about the complexity of tefillah and the role it takes in our lives. It's important for the people that pray. It's important for the people that don't pray, and look at the people that pray and what their understanding of it is. I think we lead a very pampered life. We're mefunakim in this. Thank God. I mean, we feel like with medicine and technology, we'll all live until 120, and we'll all have this beautiful. Everything will work for us. And looking back at previous generations, a mother had 20 children and got to raise 3 of them. Thank God, there was a lot of progress done, but there's still, in Tefillah we say, Oseh Shalom Uvorei Hakol. That's just politically correct for the original pasuk from Yeshayahu that says, Oseh Shalom Uvorei Ra. There's evil in the world. And Hashem has his own cheshbonot.